So I thought of a new series, and because it's the first installment, this video's intro is going to be a little bit longer, but there should be chapters in it if I put chapters in it, which I should have. Future me, put chapters in it.
You got it.
Anyway, let me tell you how I thought of this idea. So one day I was watching this YouTube video of time. It was just a video about time. It was interesting, but it got me thinking, right? Like, what would I do if I could freeze time, like stop it? So I went on Quora, saw some answers. I was like, I wonder what people would think what they would do if they could freeze time. And when I got to the answers, I saw these answers like,
well, you wouldn't do anything because if you were to freeze time, then light couldn't travel and the photons couldn't get to your eyes and then your retinas and you wouldn't be able to see and the air would be frozen and you couldn't breathe and you're just going to die and you're dead, you're done, you can't move, it's over.
Great. You know, why is everyone trying to sound smart? We get it. You're smart. You read books. That's great. How about you go read one right now instead of answering questions on Quora? So anyway, I went to Reddit instead so I can see some actual fun answers. And here's what I saw. About 50% of the answers were rob, steal, something involving taking something from someone. The other half was like doing something inappropriate to someone while time is frozen. And then the miscellaneous stuff was like weird stuff that didn't make a lot of sense. Practical jokes is what they call them, but I just call it odd behavior. Anyway, let's focus on the comments about robbery. I saw there were so many comments about people stealing stuff. There was even one comment where a guy was like, here's how the comment went. He said, I wouldn't steal because I don't like stealing. Instead, I would just take like $5 from every single person I walk past. That way it wouldn't be a lot and it wouldn't be missed. And then eventually it would add up to like $100,000. And I'm like, so stealing, right? Stealing, that's what it is. Why are people like this? So I got to thinking, right? How would because everyone wants to be rich, use their powers to be rich and make money. How would I make money with this power without being a criminal or doing something morally questionable? So that's where the idea came from. And then I was like, well, let's take it a step further. Let's say you have the time stone from Avengers, because that's popular, right? You know about that. You should know about that. You saw the movie. And that's where this idea was born. All right, so let me outline the rules here before we get started. One, we're gonna assume that even though you have superpowers, you know, the world isn't going to act too weird, right? Because I know what people are going to say.
Wait a second, you can't go around and start a business with superpowers because then the government is going to find you and they're going to lock you in cages and then poke you with sticks.
Anytime you say anything, it's like, what would happen if, and the person's just like,
oh, I know what would happen. You get arrested. You're going to get arrested, jail time.
Let's assume that everyone is normal and they're not gonna go crazy and lock you up and try to take you down because you're too powerful and scary. Okay, so that's number one. Two, we're gonna try to do this without doing something illegal or morally questionable, because I don't like to be evil. It's kind of a thing. Before I hop into this, you should probably know one more thing. What is the time stone? I'm sure you saw the movie, but in case you didn't or just forgot, okay, let's run through this very quickly. Ready, set, go. Okay, the time stone is a stone that is an infinity gem. An infinity gem, one of the 6 gems. It can control time. It was first seen, I think, in Doctor Strange. He can control it to reverse time. I think you can speed up time overall, but I haven't seen that before. We've only seen him reverse all time, right? He can speed up individual objects like he was doing with that apple. So you can speed up individual things, reverse individual things, reverse all the time. I'm assuming speed up all the time. Yeah, it has to do with time. It's a time stone, so. Yep. Okay, so that's the time stone. If you need to know more about it, go watch some other video about it because, you know, although this is about superpowers, I want this to be equal, if not more leaning toward business, because that's what I like more. Side note, even though I just said that, let me just say something about the time stone. In Avengers Endgame, they were traveling back in time, right? Iron Man, Captain America, and Bruce Banner, the Hulk. They all went back in time. Oh yeah, Scott and the what's his name? Ant-Man. They all went back in time, right? To get the 3 stones in one place. Iron Man and Captain America, they failed. So they had to go back in time to a different time to get the stuff, to get more Pym particles so that they can come back. But shouldn't they have just used the time stone? Because You didn't check in with Hulk to see if he, shouldn't you just been like, hey, Hulk, did you get your mission? Did you finish your mission correctly? Did you get the time stone? Because maybe we could just use that. Did you get that? Did you get the time stone? Which is a stone that has to do with time, which is what we're talking about. Couldn't we just use that to go back in time instead of going for the Pym particles? If we have the time stone, do we really need the time travel machine anymore? I don't know. I don't know if that was a plot hole or not. It's just something I thought of while I was doing a little bit of research on this topic. So it's my assumption that you can't open a portal with the time stone and go through it. You have to reverse all of time itself, or maybe speed up all of time itself. We don't see anyone going through time portals. So anyway, that's not important. Moving on, without further ado, that should end the intro, and let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing is freezing time. This is the hardest thing because I thought of so many different things you could do by reversing and speeding things up because of that one scene with the apple, but it's really hard to think of things that you can do while time is frozen that would get you money without, walking into a bank, which we said we're not gonna do. Stop thinking that. But yeah, it's really hard, because when you freeze time, everything's frozen. Things aren't moving, they're not working. So it's can you imagine, right? Let's say you're trying to make a AAA title, you're trying to make a AAA game, trying to make a video game. You could freeze time and have an infinite amount of time to work on it, but it would take so long. And you could say, okay, maybe you could freeze time and have certain people unfrozen. I think that can happen. Even if that is the case, even if there's a few people that can't be frozen, everything is still frozen. Let's say you're working on something. Will the mouse move on a computer? If you hit send, will it actually send? Will anything render? Even if you're okay, I'll put an area where things still work, but overall time is still frozen outside of this little bubble. Well, when you send something, it goes over the airwaves. So as soon as it leaves where it is it frozen now? Is it not frozen? This is getting really complicated, and that's why it's hard, because it's hard to work on stuff. I can't think of a real business that you could start by freezing time. If you can think of something, let me know. But I do know that it would be helpful. It'd be helpful to try to get a job, right? And that would make you money. And it's a video about how to make money, not necessarily business, although I like to talk about business more. I think that having the time stone just for freezing time would be good in something like law enforcement or defusing a bomb or, really tense situation. Maybe there's a gunfire, something's happening actively right now, and you need to just pause everything. So in high tense situation, maybe if you work for the military, assassination, this is not sounding too good, but stopping violence, stop keeping the peace, right? Keeping the peace. That's how I think it would go. So, if you were to able to stop time and work on stuff, they'd probably be more likely to hire you. And you wouldn't need much training because all you could do is just stop time, take the guns away, and shooting's over, tense situation's over. You pause time, go in, get the hostage. There's no hostage anymore. Freeze time, and you'd be really good at stopping crime. Okay, I think you'd be a really good crime worker, law enforcement, defusing bombs, stopping violence, and really, really intense situations. So yeah. Okay, now let's move on from that. The next thing is the lottery. Now, this is probably one that many of you have thought of, after robbing a bank, if you couldn't do that. I got one problem with this though. Let's say you win the lottery, or, you'd have to wait till it's over and then go back in time, right? But someone already won though. So if someone wins the lottery and then you go back in time and make it so that they didn't win and you won, wouldn't that be morally questionable? Because you're taking it away from them. They're the rightful winners. But are they though? You reverse time. Maybe they're not. You're trying to make a case for, I don't know. It sounds fishy. Let's say they won, and after they won, they were revealed, right? They're at the press. They're saying, oh my God,
this is such a help to me, such a blessing. I didn't know this was going to happen. I'm going to help so many people, and my mom and my dad, and I'm going to donate to charity.
Maybe you think to yourself, hey, look, I'll go back in time, I'll win, and I'll give them some money. If I go back in time, I win $1 billion, I give you 10 million. You're happy, right? But they were gonna get all of it though. Go back in time and give them 10 million. Wow, you're kind of cheap, especially if they start talking about, man, life's been so hard and I have cancer and all these kind of diseases. bunch of STDs. I don't know. I got cancer. I got, scoliosis. I got seasonal allergies. That's a thing. I have that, so I need some money. But if you went back in time, would that be morally questionable? You took their money. They were going to win rightfully, and you rewrote history so that this person can stay poor. Is that not bad? And maybe you could do it. Maybe if they don't know, they say what you don't know won't hurt you. But could you live with yourself? You know what? Don't answer that. I don't know why I asked you that. I couldn't live with myself. So we're not going to do that, okay? Don't go back in time and make someone else not win. But I was doing some tiny bit of research on lottery winnings and stuff like that. If there is no winner, then it goes back to the lotteries, or it goes to charity, something like that, depending on the state you're in. I don't know. I don't really play the lottery. I've never played it and will never play it. So I don't know too much, but based on a Google search, based on a Google search I did, that's what can happen. So if no one wins, if no one claims it and it's over, then go back in time and you do the thing. But of course, there's more problems with this as well. If there's no lottery winnings announced, that means no one claimed it. But does that mean no one got the ticket? Maybe someone got it and they didn't claim it. Maybe it's still in a store. Reversing time doesn't tell you where the ticket is because they don't tell you which store it was in. At least I don't think so, based on what I've seen. So if it was to be oh, nobody claimed the ticket, it's gone, you wouldn't be able to get that just because it's over, because you wouldn't know where it is or where in the country or the state, where, what particular store. They're not going to give you that information when it's over. When did it get there? When did the shipment come in? What truck was it on? You're never going to find out this stuff. So you're not going to know where to get it. I don't know. I feel like I've been talking about the lottery topic too much for someone who doesn't really know much about it and doesn't play it. Maybe I should just move on. So should I? Yes. All right, let's talk about stock trading, which is something I do. This one's pretty simple. You wait until a stock goes up, you reverse time to the previous day, and then you buy into it. Then when time is up the next day, then you sell, and bada boom, bada bing. Pretty simple, right? Except, remember earlier in the video where I said they didn't use the time stone to just jump through a portal? Instead, they had to reverse it all of time together. Here's the thing with that. It's never shown. I don't think it's shown in the movies, them making time go forward at all. But assuming that they do, when I've seen them go back in time, what I see is that time seems to move backwards as fast as time moves forward, which would mean that in order to get 24 hours into the past, it would take 24 hours to get there. And now you're talking, in order to make some money, you'd have to spend a day's travel to go back in the time, and then spend a day's travel to go back forward in time. And now you're talking just a lot of time. Just because if that was the case, that would make this strategy really hard, because you can't reverse your computer and make the stock go back down. Reverse your computer does nothing. You have to reverse the entire day. It's not reversing a particular object like the apple in that scene. It's reversing everything. It doesn't seem like it's going faster than time moving forward. It seems like it's going about the same. And because of that, if you're going to reverse everything, first of all, it doesn't even seem like you can speed up time. If time only moves as fast as time regularly moves, then if you speed up time, it would go as fast as time is already moving. So, but if you reverse it, then it would take as much time as time going forward. This is getting way too complicated, but the point is, this strategy would take a long amount of time. So if you're going to do this, make sure that you have a lot of capital and that it's worth it. Maybe take out a loan. You'll be guaranteed to pay it back because you're obviously gonna make money. So then you get into a stock that goes up crazy, reverse time, ride the day back out, chilling. You'd have to repeat a lot of days though. That's the only thing with this strategy. Unless you're trying to do a one and done or only a few times, you gotta repeat days over every time you do this because you have to go back in time. But you wanna make sure that you know exactly what happens to the stock, when to get out. Because can you imagine if you just saw a stock go up 100% and you're like, oh my God, yeah, that's it. So you go back in time and then you invest and then it goes up 100% and then you sell and then you realize actually right after that it went up later to 900%, and you're like, if I just waited a little bit more, I could have saw that it was gonna go up more, and I messed that up. Which means if you want to redo it, you'd have to go back in time again, which would be more time. But of course, if you wait to see what happens to the stock, then that's more time you have to spend going in the past. So there's no way around this taking a while. Anyway, that's all I got for stock trading. Now, if anyone knows more about the time stone and the limited knowledge that I have about it from the I'm not going off the comics, by the way. I'm only going off the MCU. Okay, so this is a really cool idea I thought of. Fixing slash like restoration, fixing stuff like that. And in the previous topics, I didn't give any like put numbers to it. I mean, if you want me to go back and do that, working in law enforcement, you'd get the money that you would do working in law enforcement. The lottery, whatever lottery winnings, stock trading, that's hard. It depends on the amount you put into it. But this one, fixing and restoration, let's put some numbers to it, all right? So here's what I'm thinking. You could be someone who fixes stuff, and this is related to reversing time on particular things. Say someone brings in someone has a chair, and they want you to fix your chair, want you to fix their chair. You could just reverse time on the chair, and it's fixed. Or if someone has a broken cell phone, reverse time on the cell phone. Now, I have to do some research to see, okay, let me actually do some research right now. All right, let's do some quick calculations, right? Let's say that people need their screen repaired for like an iPhone or something. And let's say every single repair is $130 and you work an 8-hour shift. And because you're able to reverse time, it's not like it takes long for you to reverse stuff. I mean, that apple became rotten and became unrotten in just a flick of a hand, and that would, take a while. So $130, you could knock out, let's just say you take the time to like talk to a customer before you fix it or something. I don't know. Let's say you do 6 phones every hour for 8 hours. So if you do 6 phones every hour, that's $780 an hour. For 8 hours, that would be $6,240 for 1 day's work. And if you do that 5 days a week, then that's $31,200 a week. In 4 weeks, that would be $124,800 in 1 month. And that times 12 would be $1,497,600 in a year. Holy, that sounds insane for just fixing phones. And that's assuming you only get 1 phone done every 10 minutes. Using the time stone, you can probably get a phone done in under a minute. All that needs to happen is the customer walks in, pays you, flick of the wrist, boom, it's done. Next customer. Now you see the power of having powers, superpowers. But of course, why stop there? I mean, that's just cell phones. If you take it up a notch, you can do cars. And people might go to you for more than just fixing it. Maybe they want it like restored, right? That's the other thing I said. Restoration, like if you want a car, it's not broken, but it's not brand new. You want it to feel brand new. You could take it to me, flick of the wrist, brand new car, just like that. And pay me a fee for that. That's good money. And then you could get into bigger stuff like fixing planes, boats, maybe stuff for companies or the government. You could fix up all kinds of stuff and they would pay you crazy amounts of money. And it'd be the same thing no matter what you're fixing, whether it's a boat or whether it's a phone, flick of the wrist. So you get paid crazy amounts of money for just flicking your wrist. You go up to a broken boat or a broken plane. This plane costs multi-millions of dollars. Let's say you got to fix the Air Force One and it's broken, it's messed up. You can fix it with the flick of the wrist, or they can spend time and energy fixing it for months. Flick of the wrist, pay you a fee, premium fee. Flick of the wrist, it's done. And it's better job than you could have done, unless you're going to upgrade the plane, of course. So I would say the bigger things that you can fix, the better, because that would cost more money and it'd be the same amount of effort just flicking your wrist. Do stuff for the government, because the government has a bunch of money. They can even make money. Well, the Federal Reserve, they print money, so they're good for it. Or maybe they're not good for it because our debt is crazy, right? Similarly, cattle and crops would be like something else that's in this realm as well. So like, let's say you have a cow. The cow is just born, but new cows not as worth bigger cows because bigger cows are older. So what do? Flick of the wrist, accelerate time. And so the baby cow becomes an adult cow immediately, which is crazy more money. So you can pay people to mature cows faster. That way it can start producing milk, or I don't know, you speed up chickens and they can hatch eggs faster. Basically speeding up animals so that they're in a part of their life that produces more than when they're just born. You get cow's milk faster, you get goat's milk faster, you get eggs faster, you get burgers faster. Everything is just sped up, and farmers would probably pay because it would be worth it to accelerate your animals to have more produce. And with that, obviously comes to mind is crops. Basically, what you would be doing is speeding up an entire like plot. They laid it out, maybe they watered it or something, and all you need to do is just speed it up. Speed up the process. Bada boom, bada bing. You can produce crops way faster, and they would pay, I bet, farmers and companies, big corporations, they pay you premium price to speed up crop production. Instantly or near instantly grow corn, peas, potatoes, all kinds of vegetables and fruit. Trees that would take forever now only take the time it takes for you to flick your wrist. There's not much to that. It's really easy. Speed up the animals or reverse the animals. If an animal is getting old, maybe you don't have a lot of animals, so reverse the animal itself, and now it's at a younger part in its life, and yeah, it can keep doing stuff. All right, so the next thing I thought of might be the most interesting, and that is speeding up chemical reactions, processes, stuff like that. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. You know, oil takes a long time to happen naturally. So what you could do is speed up the process of oil just forming naturally in nature. And oh my God, if you were able to make oil appear, you might as well be able to make money appear, because what's the difference? Maybe you don't want to do that because people are trying to move towards, especially the US, green energy nowadays. So, but there's other things you could do too, like for example, windmills. Now, I will say about windmills, the thing about windmills is you could speed it up by, you know, speeding up time, which would produce energy. But I don't know, how long would that take? Like, how many windmills can you speed up at one time? Can you do multiple objects? Maybe you can do an air if you can do the land, you know, to speed up the crops. Yeah, maybe just speed up a windmill, get some energy, or you could speed up, wait. I don't think you could speed up like a dam or something, because that water right there comes from farther back. So if you speed up the water here, does it speed up the water miles away from you where the river first started? Or, you know, I don't think it's gonna work like that. So you couldn't speed up a dam, couldn't speed up a river, but you can speed up the windmills. So you can make energy like that. The only problem is, even if you were to speed up like a few windmills, how often would you need to do that for you to create enough energy for people to use? Like, I don't think that would be effective. You'd have to have multiple people with the power to speed up time. Like, I feel like one person, even if I were to come every day and speed up windmills, I don't know, I just feel like it wouldn't be effective enough to make enough energy. But that's one of the things you could do, you know, energy production. By the way, I realized I didn't give an explanation good enough for like why you were able to speeding up the windmills might not be that useful. It's because the power has to go somewhere locally. So if you speed up the windmills and create a bunch of power, then where's it gonna be stored? You know, you don't have enough capacity. Even if you were to speed up the windmill by 100 years, you just got 100 years worth of power, but you don't have anywhere to store 100 years worth of power like near the windmill. They would have to build something specifically. Maybe it could work, I don't know, but I just wanted to throw this in here because I forgot to mention why that wouldn't be. Well, I don't think it's as good of an idea as some of the other ones I've said. So also you could do is speeding up other natural stuff that happens, like diamonds, the formation of diamonds, anything like that, and you could be really rich. Here's one thing that you could do that would really help out, and probably people would pay you a lot if you could speed this up. That is decomposition. I'm talking decomposition of like landfills. So it takes many years for this stuff to decompose, and landfills are filling up. If you could speed up an entire landfill with the flick of your wrist, thousands of years or whatever it takes, then people would pay you a crazy amount of money for that. Like, you could get rid of so much garbage in the world and become rich. And so it's two birds with one stone. You'll be beloved by the eco people, beloved by regular people. Nobody likes garbage, and you'd get paid a crazy amount of money. Plus, I think this is something that the government deals with, so you can get a lot of money for that. But yeah, speeding up chemical processes and also reversing chemical processes. I don't know how much people pay for that, but if there's something that happens that can only happen once and then it's over, maybe you could reverse that so that it can happen a second time. Some kind of chemical reaction. I don't know. Maybe you can help some scientists. I don't know, man. Are scientists rich? Do scientists have money? I feel like it's the businessman behind the scientist paying for the research to be done. I don't know how much scientists actually have. So you wouldn't be helping scientists. You'd be helping some businessman or some company do something, but you'd be working with scientists. So that's a win. But speaking of reversing things, there is something that you can do that would be, I think, really helpful, and that's reversing expired goods. Now, this is, I've said this before in this video, but this would get you a lot of money. A lot of these ideas would get you a lot of money. We're getting into the bigger money-making ideas the further we go. And the last one probably going to shock you. But before that, this reversing expired goods. Let me give you a scenario, right? Let's say there's a company that makes milk, right? They produce milk and they store it in huge containers, huge gallons and gallons of milk, but they have to ship it all out before it goes bad. What if instead, if they weren't forced to ship it out quickly because it's going to go bad, they're not on a time limit, they make a contract with you that you have a contract that you're going to go in and you're going to reverse the milk so that it's good as new again when the time comes, when they're ready to sell it. So they can actually store like huge reserves of expired milk, knowing that you're going to come and reverse it and it's going to be good again, and then they can sell it. And they'll pay you to do that so that they can have way more products to sell. That would just be, and that could be with anything, any expired goods, like mostly food, right? If you have some food and it's going to go bad, you can keep reversing the food. Now, obviously, when it comes to the entire world, this isn't going to be that helpful because it's one person with the time stone reversing, at different times. But for you, it'd be very lucrative. You'd be helping out. You can't help out the entire world, but you can help out quite a bit. Now, when it comes to reversing non-food items, expired goods, or like things that expire, like, I don't know. What else expires? It's not necessarily food. Maybe like lotion. Does lotion expire? I'm sure it does. Medicine. Oh my God. How could I forget that? Reversing medicine so that medicine doesn't expire. You can help a lot of people with that. Of course, like I said before, you wouldn't be able to help too many because you're only one person going around reversing stuff. It's not like a team of people. It's not like you can reverse everything in the world. So if people were to stockpile a bunch of medicine in one area, you reverse all of that and all of the medicine becomes good again. And a lot of medicine can be good for like years. I've looked at bottles of medicine. I look at the expiration date. Some of that stuff doesn't expire until 2024. And it's 2022. Some of it 2025. I'm like, this stuff lasts for a while. These pills, but you can make them last for even longer. And now we get to the final thing. This thing, I think, has, even with everything I've said before, this still has the potential to make the most money out of everything I've said. And it's just because of how bad people want it. People want this so bad. And that is reversing age. People would pay a premium amount of money for you to take years off their life. I mean, add them on, not take years, reverse the years so that they live longer. Especially when you get to these multi-millionaires, these billionaires. I've heard from really rich people that after a while, once you have enough money, the only thing that you value, or you start valuing time more than money because you can't buy time, right? Your time becomes really valuable because you can't buy it. You can't get it back. But what if you could get it back? Well, then you'd pay a lot of money to have it, right? Can you imagine if you were 70 and you could look like you're 25? If these people had the money, they would do it. They would pay so much money for you to take years off their life. All you gotta do is go to a billionaire, be like, listen, give me $100 million and I will make you 20 again. And you can hop and skip and do cartwheels. Low key, you couldn't even do cartwheels before, but at least you could look better. They would pay, especially when you get to like these people that want to live forever, that want to be on top forever, scared to death. These politicians, oh my God, they pay money. Now I gotta say, you could run into a morally questionable question here, which is it right to make these politicians or really rich people live forever if they're not good people? Because if you were to make them live forever, that means whatever bad thing that they're doing, they're going to continue doing that for a longer time. So you could ask yourself, and probably really good people, maybe they're not rich, so you have to try to find someone who's good and rich, willing to pay that premium, because if you only go after only rich people, you're going to run into a lot of bad people as well. So maybe you don't want them to live forever. Maybe that's not a good idea. Who knows what they're planning or what they're up to. But even just running into one billionaire would probably pay you so much money to be young again, because no matter how much money they have, you can't buy that. You just can't. You can't be young again. Humans don't de-age. We only age. You're never going to be a kid again if you're not one now. If you're not one now, you won't be one tomorrow. Tomorrow, if you're an adult today, you're an adult tomorrow, and if you're an adult tomorrow, you'll be an adult the next day. You never go back. There's no reversing anything. There's only moving forward. And so if you could reverse that for people, I think people would pay a premium for that. So yeah, one deal and you're set. You do it one time, $100 million, that's enough. Not unless you're one of those people that don't know what to do with money. You're not good with money and you waste it all. But if that was the case, then it's a good thing you have the time stone so that you can keep making more. Because without that, who knows what would happen to you. And that's gonna do it. That is all of the ideas I thought of in a brainstorm session. I'm sure there are many more ideas you can come up with on how to make money if you had the time stone. I just thought it'd be fun to combine something I love, business, with something interesting, superpowers. Seemed fun video to make. If you like this and want to see more, let me know. I think I'm gonna make this a series. Gets the brain turning. Obviously, you can never do any of this stuff actually because you don't have any superpowers. You don't have any superpowers. No, I don't have any either. But it gets the brain turning and it was definitely fun to make. Let me know what you think. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, be sure to hit the dislike button as well. I know it doesn't show that, but I'll look at it behind the scenes to see who disliked it. Oh, and let me know if you do want me to make another one. If anyone sees this and wants me to make another one, let me know what superpower that you want me to go over or some kind of thing like that, right? I don't know if I'm gonna do another Infinity Stone, but you know, super speed, flight, stuff. I don't know if there's a superpower that's very specific. Yeah, if you want me to do this again, let me know a superpower that you think is nice and I'll do that. Otherwise, as usual, like 3 people's gonna see this video, so I will think of the next thing. I got you, don't worry. Till then, I will see you next time. Peace.
Really think this feeling.